Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Gabby Fennick, and I'm a freight tutor, and this is my colleague Claire Capaccioli. This session is going to be recorded, so everyone has been placed on mute with cameras off, but feel free to type in any questions you may have throughout in the chat box, and we will try to answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. Right. So this is an introduction to the world of freight forwarding and what an apprenticeship looks like. This session is about impact through empowerment, not just training people to do a job, but equipping them with real skills for life, confidence, and career progression. We're going to introduce you to our Momentous Learning International Freight Forwarding Apprenticeship and explain why it's different from traditional training routes. If you're new to freight or apprenticeships, you're absolutely in the right places. Hopefully today's session will give you more clarity on what this is all about. So just to introduce ourselves properly, Momentous Learning is a specialist training provider focused on apprenticeship and commercial training programs. We design and deliver programs that are practical, employer-led, and rooted in real workplace experience. This means everything we do is built around what people actually need to do in their job roles, not just theory for theory's sake. We work in close partnership with a wide range of employers to develop confidence and progression, whether that's for new entrants to the industry or existing staff developing into more specialist roles. Ultimately, our aim is to empower learners and employers alike, creating training that delivers measurable impact and not just qualifications. So we'll touch on what freight forwarding actually involves, how the role fits into the wider supply chain, and how the program is structured to support learners over time. So before we talk about the program itself, let's level set on some definitions, and I'll hand over to my colleague Claire, who will walk you through the next part.
Thank you, Gabby, and hello everyone from me. You're very welcome. We're happy to have you attending this session with us. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box. We'd like to be able to answer any of your questions today. We'll leave you our details at the end so you can also submit a question to us later. So I thought I'd begin my short section just by an overview of answering that important question first. What is international freight forwarding? Sometimes people haven't actually heard of freight forwarding or understand what it really means. We might be more familiar with other language, other terminology like shipping or international transport. You might have heard of supply chain logistics. So let's make sure we understand, first of all, what freight forwarding is. So supply chain, that can describe the whole end-to-end process. Okay, so from start to finish, that might be from sourcing raw materials or ingredients all the way through to stock replenishment on warehouse shelves. Sometimes we manage the warehouse management systems, and there's an acronym that's often used in supply chain, OTIF, delivering on time in full. So that's supply chain. Logistics, that term originated in the military. That was about having the right people in the right places. Now we want the right goods in the right place for the right price at the right time. That's logistics. Freight forwarding is a culmination of all of that. Yeah, we're going to move all of the cargo from source all the way through to final delivery point, and we're going to take care of everything in between, including, and sometimes most importantly, the customs clearance as well. That's an important part of what you will be doing as a freight forwarder. So the process is that in very simple terms, which I like, the process is we're going to move cargo from A to B. And that is the role of the freight forwarder, the liaison point between an exporter, that's somebody who's going to send goods out of their country. The importer is somebody who's going to bring something into their country. And when we talk about goods, that might sound abstract, but actually you buy things sometimes, don't you? You import things. If you buy something, think about the last thing that you bought online. Probably it was in a warehouse just like that. Lots of things are in warehouses, a whole variety of things like household goods, like furniture, toys, car parts. The last thing you bought, if you think about that, think about how did it actually get to the shop or get delivered to your door? Somebody had to bring it from a warehouse, maybe from an overseas warehouse, so that you could buy it. If you look at that picture, maybe the foodstuffs on the left-hand side were from this country, but maybe everything else in that picture has been brought in from elsewhere. So sometimes we're manufacturing and exporting from this country. Often we're bringing things in. So that lady, the shelves that are there, the basket, her hair clip, the clothes she's wearing, all imported. If you think about, you know, what you've got around you, look around you, you've got your phone, your TV, your desk, your chair, even your cup of tea on your desk. All of these things have been shipped from somewhere to somewhere. Right now it's the Winter Olympics, isn't it? All of the athletes are there in Cortina performing, but all of their kit has to get there as well. Somebody has to do that. That's freight forwarding. And that is a variety of all the different cargo that I mentioned already. Plus, now for the athletes, they've got, in the winter, they've got things like skis and bobsleighs and curling stones, a variety of kind of objects that need to be shipped. When it's the Summer Olympics, there's things like javelins and canoes and weightlifting equipment. So the point is, it's a variety of goods that you're going to be handling, and it means that your job is very varied. Different goods, different customers with different needs. So in the world of freight forwarding, no 2 days are the same, and that makes it a great career to be involved in. So when you're involved, when you become a freight forwarder, you will be acting as an intermediary. You act on behalf of your clients, and your clients would be people who are importing or exporting. We assist in the movement of goods internationally and domestically. So that means if something's going to be sent from London Heathrow to America, that customer might be based in Birmingham. So we do the domestic transport from Birmingham to Heathrow, and we do the international transports as well. Yeah, we do other things like we arrange, apart from arranging the transport, we arrange and take care of all the documentation. So some of that is the shipper's responsibility, some of it we will produce, some of it we will check for the client and let them know when extra documents are required for certain markets or for certain goods. Yeah, and then there might be some companies where you would do more than that. In terms of maybe if you're managing a warehouse for a client, you might offer those supply chain solutions as well, like, for instance, pick and pack operations or dangerous goods packing. Sometimes you know you're handling cargo and you need to be aware of what the requirements for that cargo might be. If you're handling pharmaceuticals, for instance, you might need to have authorization licenses for that. If you're sending a consignment of mobile phones, there's within it and other devices, there's lithium-ion batteries. They're classified as hazardous by air freight. So you need training. So you get all of this extra knowledge and certifications when you're working in freight as well. Yeah. So as a freight forwarder, you're dealing with the customers who are the sellers, the exporters, or the buyers, the importers, and you're dealing with carriers. So that is the term that we use that covers international hauliers, airlines, shipping lines. You'll be dealing with all of them, tracking goods for your customers and making bookings on behalf of your customers as well. You'll have to deal with customs because you're going to be responsible for the customs clearance element and all of the agencies and organisations who work with and on behalf of customs as well. So that might be Department of Business and Trade if you need some licences for pharmaceuticals, for instance. It might be that you're working with trading standards because they need to check that goods that you're bringing in are not counterfeit goods. So a whole variety of different parties and partnerships that you'll form as well. Okay, so the last slide from me is just to say that when you're working in freight forwarding, you have a chance to shape your career. Okay, it's not just getting a job, it's a career opportunity, and there's so many opportunities within freight forwarding. You can see a few pathways that we've got on the screen there, and Gabby will talk about those in a moment in more detail. But if, for instance, you're interested in sales, you can work in freight forwarding sales. If you're interested in customer service, there's a job for you. If you like international travel or you're good at languages, you're going to be welcome in freight forwarding. You might be interested in music. One of the apprentices I met last year, she worked for a company and they specialised in moving cargo for exhibitions. And she was dealing with Beyonce's team when Beyonce was doing a world tour. Obviously, Beyonce is going to perform on stage, but there's all sorts of equipment that's needed in order to support the band and the musicians and all of the technical people on tour with her. So the apprentice company was involved in that. The same company, they were dealing with MMA and WWE exhibitions, shows in the Middle East. So they were travelling to these places with these celebrities. Another apprentice that I dealt with, her company had some contacts with a couple of celebrity clients, and one of them had to bring in a watch that he'd bought, a footballer, I think he'd bought a watch for £10,000 in Switzerland. Somebody had to get that watch to the UK. That was the freight forwarder who did that. Another in the same company, they had to send some expensive jewellery for a celebrity, deliver it to their yacht in Monte Carlo. So there's all sorts of glamorous opportunities as well, and lucrative opportunities. You might be working not for a freight forwarder, but within a freight forwarding department in, let's say, a pharmaceutical company, if you're interested in the pharmaceutical side. There's automotive. So lots and lots of pathways to think about. So I hope that's given you some inspiration, and that was the last slide from me. This is a video to just give you a little bit more inspiration, tell you a bit more about the opportunities that are available. This is presented by Generation Logistics.
Okay, here's the situation. You're the principal of an F1 team. You've just finished the European part of the season. Now you've got to get 50 tons of equipment, worth over £100 million, to Azerbaijan in 2 weeks. How do you do it? Okay, here's the situation. You're the Prime Minister. You've got net zero targets to hit. You've got to get 5 North Sea wind farms operational within 12 months. How do you do it? Okay, here's the situation. You're in charge of Glasgow this year. By the end of June, you've got to turn a working farm into the biggest and most famous music festival in the world. How do you do it? 3 scenarios. one solution. Logistics. Logistics is how an F1 team travels the world. Logistics is how a farm can host over 200,000 people. Logistics is why we can build in the North Sea. This isn't just planes, trains, lorries and ships. It's about planning, organisation, problem solving, mapping, engineering, innovation, technology and marketing. Logistics is all that and more. An ecosystem governed by a simple mantra. The right thing at the right place, at the right time, at the right cost. And in modern logistics, cost isn't just money, it's people. And sustainability. Who will be affected? What's the impact on the planet? It's a sector the world relies on, and it's more important now than it's ever been. Why? Because in a globalized world, everything is made possible by logistics. Beyond F1 teams, music festivals, and renewable energy, it's the food in your fridge, the clothes on your back, and the tech in your pocket. A world of opportunity, requiring a world of different skill sets. Let's look closer. Starting with the customer, the person or company who needs to get something from A to B. To do it, they'll need all sorts of help and support. Experts to talk to, those who coordinate the supply chain to make sure everything happens at the right time, at the right cost. Access to vehicles, and for road, rail, air and sea. Transport networks, buildings, and facilities to support the journey. Spaces for goods to be stored before they leave and when they arrive. And then there's a whole network of other professions, each adding their skills to the sector, across engineering, consultancy, marketing, sales, IT, and more. The logistics of logistics. Every time you order something online, big or small, this world of skills shifts into gear. Millions of times a day, hundreds of times a second. Maximizing the capability of technology, but driven by the ingenuity and brilliance of people. But then, that's logistics all over. Okay, here's the situation. You're you, and you're starting to wonder about your career. You're looking for something with big potential, rich opportunity, and genuine significance in the world. What do you do? Generation Logistics. Push your boundaries.
Thank you so much, Claire. Your talk was really fascinating and empowering. I'm going to talk to you next about our program. So it's called International Freight Forwarding Specialist Level 3. And this is a 15-month program designed to fit around your real work. Learners usually take part in monthly online workshops. You'll also have workplace assignments and one-to-one coaching sessions. There are also quarterly progress reviews with the apprentices and their managers, so no one is left drifting. Importantly, learners can choose one of the 3 pathways, ocean, road, or air, depending on their role and employer needs. At the end of the program, and after achieving all the knowledge, skills, and behaviors required, learners will complete their EPA, which means endpoint assessment, and this is conducted by an independent assessor from the EPAO, the Endpoint Assessment Organization. And it consists of 3 components. So you'll have a multiple choice knowledge test, a professional discussion, and a practical assessment. Our delivery model, we use a blended delivery model, as learning isn't a one-size-fits-all. So this includes, as I was saying, workshops, mentoring, and real workplace projects and assignments. Everything feeds into the Momentous Learning cycle, which is learn it, apply it, reflect on it, and improve. We also embed off-the-job training, which is embedded throughout, not bolted on at the end. So I'm going to walk you through the delivery model quickly, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the off-the-job training. Yes, that's the one. Thank you, Claire. So we've got mainly 4 parts, as you can see here. The first part is international freight movement, freight documentation, and also we'll talk a bit about the external landscape. So external factors that influence freight forwarding, like political, environmental, economic, and so on. Then we also have a finance part of the program, which includes things like billing and accruals, business finance and tax, calculating duty and VAT, and things like that. Then we've got a big part of it, of our IFF level 3's customs procedures, of course, and customer service, and finally more general topics towards the end, containing sustainable working practices, team working excellence, sustainability being one of the major KSBs introduced recently. So in terms of delivery methodology, learners take part in master classes, so you'll be having BIFA Customs Essentials course, the British International Trade Association. This is a 1-day course included in the program. Webinars, workshops, guided learning, but just as importantly, you will be supported by mentors and tutors who understand the industry. So the whole program is designed to make learning continuous, relevant, and immediately useful at work. A little bit on the off-the-job training. Thank you, Claire. So off-the-job training is a really important part of the apprenticeship, and we're very deliberate about how it's delivered here. So rather than separating learning from the job, off-the-job training is integrated through workshops, projects, coaching, and reflective activities that relate directly to the learner's role. That means learners aren't stepping away from work to just tick a box. They're actually developing those skills, that knowledge, and the behaviors that actively improve their performance in the workplace and allows them to be successful at EPA eventually. It also gives employers confidence that time invested in training is delivering real return. And at the end of each month, each apprentice is required to produce and record an off-the-job training log or record, which can include some of the things that you can see on the slide. Any shadowing, meetings in the workplace, visiting other departments or suppliers, any research that they do on their own, team training webinars, and so on, any networking events. All of these can be recorded and are part of your off-the-job requirements, as they call them. Well, this is the end of our presentation. We're now going to see if there's any questions. Can you type them in the chat box so we can respond? So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box.
And in the meantime, we'll leave our details on the screen for you if anybody wants to get in touch. That's how you can find us.